everyone, and welcome. So, I have a question for you. How do you weigh something you can't even see? Something so small you could never ever put it on a scale? I'm talking about a single atom. It sounds like something out of science fiction, right? But it's not. Scientists have a seriously clever way to do it, and today we're going to break down exactly how they pull it off. I mean, think about it. The mass of an atom is just ridiculously tiny. No physical scale could ever measure it. So how in the world do we know that an oxygen atom is heavier than a hydrogen atom? And not just that it's heavier, but by exactly how much? That is the fundamental puzzle we're going to solve together today.
So, here's our game plan. First up, we'll get our heads around this key concept called relative atomic mass. Then we're going to take a peek under the hood of the amazing machine that does all the heavy lifting, the Mass Spectrometer. After that, we'll roll up our sleeves and actually run through a calculation using neon as our example. And finally, we'll see how to interpret a more complex set of data from the element lead.
All right, let's dive right in. Since we can't just plop an atom on a scale, chemists had to think outside the box. They came up with a brilliant workaround, a universal scale for weighing atoms. The whole secret is comparison. Instead of trying to find an atom's absolute actual mass in grams, which would be a nightmare, we measure it relative to something else. We pick one atom and say, okay, this is our standard, and then we compare every other atom to that one. It's like saying a basketball is heavier than a tennis ball, without ever needing to know how many pounds or kilos either one weighs. And here's the official definition. The standard that everyone in the scientific community agreed on is a specific type of carbon atom called carbon-12. It's been assigned a mass of exactly 12 units. So the relative atomic mass, which we call R, is the weighted average mass of an element's atoms, all compared back to that carbon-12 standard. You absolutely have to remember those two phrases, weighted average and carbon-12 standard. They are the keys to understanding everything. Now that weighted average part is super important. Why? Because most elements in nature are actually a mix of different versions of themselves, called isotopes. Isotopes are just atoms of the same element with slightly different masses. The mass of one single specific isotope is its relative isotopic mass, but the number you see on the periodic table, that's the relative atomic mass, and it's the average of all the natural isotopes taking into account how common each one is. Chlorine is the classic example. You'll never find a single chlorine atom that weighs 35.5. It's just the average of the very common chlorine 35 and the less common chlorine 37. Kind of weird, right? Okay, but how do we get all this amazing data? I mean, how do we know the exact mass of each isotope and what percentage is floating around in nature? For that, we need a very special, very cool piece of equipment. So let's go inside the incredible machine that makes all of this possible, the Mass Spectrometer. So a tiny sample of an element goes on a wild ride inside this machine. First, it gets heated up until it turns into a gas. Then, bam! It's blasted with a beam of high-energy electrons. This knocks an electron off each atom, turning them into positive ions. Next, a powerful electric field acts like a slingshot, launching these new ions forward at high speed. And here comes the really clever part. They fly into a magnetic field. This field deflects them, bending their path. Now think about it. A lighter ion is going to be way easier to push off course than a heavy one. So the lightest ions take a super sharp turn, while the heaviest ones barely bend at all. At the end of the path, a detector is waiting. It just counts how many ions of each mass hit it, giving us a perfect picture of both the mass and the abundance of every isotope in the sample. So the spectrometer splits out this really cool chart that shows us exactly which isotopes are in our sample and in what percentage. But how do we get from that chart to the single number we see on the periodic table? Let's get our hands dirty and walk through a real example using the element neon.
Check this out. This is the raw data for neon. You can see 3 clear peaks, one for each of its 3 main isotopes. And wow, look at that first one. The peak for neon 20 is massive. It makes up 90.9% of the whole sample. Then you have neon 22 at 8.8%, and that tiny little peak over there is neon 21 with just 0.3%.
Okay, the calculation itself is actually pretty straightforward, I promise. There are just 3 steps. First, for each isotope, you multiply its mass by its percentage. So we'll do 20 times 90.9, then 21 times 0.3, and finally 22 times 8.8. For step 2, you just add all those results together. And the last step, you take that big total and divide it by 100 to get the average. That's it.
And when you run those numbers, drum roll please, you get 20.2. And there you have it. That's the relative atomic mass for neon. It's the perfect illustration of how this works. Almost no single atom of neon actually has a mass of 20.2, but this weighted average is the number that perfectly represents a natural sample of the element.
All right, that neon example was a great warm-up. Now let's level up and look at the data from a slightly more complicated element. This will show us what else this amazing technique can reveal. We're going to take a look at a sample of lead.
So here's the data we get from a mass spectrum of lead. And right off the bat, you can tell this is a different kind of story than neon. We've got 4 stable isotopes in the mix here: lead 204, 206, 207, and 208. And look at their abundances. They're all pretty significant chunks of the total.
So what is this data really telling us? Well, we can easily see that lead 208 is the most common form, making up over half the sample. But here's the really cool part. This specific ratio of isotopes, this exact mix, is like a unique chemical fingerprint. This means that lead from, say, a particular mine in Australia is going to have a slightly different isotopic fingerprint than lead from an ancient Roman pipe. This is an incredibly powerful tool for scientists to trace the origin of all sorts of materials, whether they're doing environmental studies or solving archaeological mysteries. All right, we have covered a ton of ground, from the problem of weighing a single atom all the way to a practical solution. Let's just do a quick flyby and recap the biggest takeaways from today.
So, what have we learned? First, relative atomic mass is how we weigh atoms by comparing them to our universal standard, carbon-12. Second, the mass spectrometer is the amazing tool that makes it all happen, sorting ions by their mass. We learned that it's a 5-step journey: vaporize, ionize, accelerate, deflect, and detect. And finally, we saw how the data it gives us isn't just for calculating an element's mass, but for finding its unique isotopic fingerprint.
And I want to leave you with one final mind-bending thought. The newest mass spectrometers are so incredibly precise, they can measure mass out to several decimal places. This means they can tell the difference between 2 molecules that look like they should have identical masses. It's an absolutely game-changing level of chemical analysis. And it just makes you wonder, right? What other mysteries are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for a tool this powerful to distinguish them? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.
Important terminology for this topic is shown on the screen, arranged according to various exam boards. These terms demand focused attention during revision as they are highly significant and must never be overlooked. Furthermore, a past paper evaluation is included for each board and paper format. Give this paper attention too, since it will strongly enhance and refine your preparation. Additionally, aims to grasp the meaning and usage of every term instead of rote learning them individually. Consistent practice of these terms in past paper questions will greatly boost your precision and overall exam results.
Please subscribe our channel to get more educational videos. Thank you.